Thank you for staying with us. On Friday, the 22nd of September, was a dark day in Zamfara, where several female students of Federal University Gusau were abducted by bandits. After a few days, 3 students escaped, and now troops of Operation Hadarin Daji have rescued another 7 female students and 3 construction workers. So far, 13 students and 3 construction workers who were carrying out projects at the university have regained freedom. President Tinubu has now ordered security agencies to rescue the remaining students. According to the president's spokesman, he says there is no moral justification for such heinous crimes against innocent victims whose only offense was their pursuit of quality education. We're joining us from our Abuja studio is a security and counter-terrorism expert, school safety expert, retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you and good morning.
Right, good morning. Let's begin with the issues here. This is not the first time that these persons are striking that school, because sometime in June we hear that the students actually protested discontinuous attacks and kidnappings in their school, and now we're seeing it happen again. What really do you interpret as why this is a recurring issue, especially with regards to that school?
Thank you very much. Permit me to correct you a bit. This is about the 3rd time this year. I don't know earlier years, but my research shows this is the 3rd time the Federal University Gusau has been attacked by bandits and then people kidnapped. The first one was 2nd April this year, where 2 female students were kidnapped. Luckily, they were released. How, I don't know, whether it was a rescue, whether it was payment of ransom, but they were released after 12 days. The second one was 17 June, which we refer to, where the students protested. And then this 3rd one, which started, we can say, 22nd, 23rd of this month, where we have an unknown number, because up to now, one of the unfortunate happenings and one of the things we have about is that we seem not to be able always, when this kind of things happen, to even know how many people are we looking for. Now, having said that, the issue of attacking schools since the incidents of Chibok, Dapchi, Kankara, Jangebe, Baptist High School in Kaduna, Forestry, FGGC Yawuri, and so on and so forth has been with us. But we have to ask, this school, this federal government, Federal University Gusau, has had more than its fair share, because this is the 3rd time they have been attacked. So we have to concentrate, while not forgetting that the issue of safe schools is still with us all over Nigeria, or I can say mostly in the northern part of the country. But we have to pay, why is Gusau receiving this attention? We have to remember Federal University Gusau is one of the newly established universities. I say newly, they were the ones that came on stream in 2010. Now, as a security expert, I always say that security for any public place, whether it is a building or market or it is our railway stations, security should form part of the planning, part of the design, part of the choosing of the site. That is to say, security should not be an add-on. Security should always be right from the planning stage. That's why we talk about the crime prevention through environmental design, CPTE. Security experts should work with building designers, with architects, right from the beginning of the school to know what are the security challenges first of the place. Of course, everybody knows that Zamfara as a whole, or the Northwest, is a security challenge place. So definitely you need to put security right at the beginning. Desk research, I have not been to the area since after the incident. Desk research I carried out that this is a school that was hurriedly put in place without any thought about the security. Why do I say so? This is a school, the main campus does not have a student accommodation. One of the safety and security features is to have an enclosure where the staff, the students, and everybody is inside. That minimizes, of course, you don't always get that, but that minimizes security. This school does not have school accommodation. They don't have a hostel for students, so most of the students are in this area we call Sabongida, which is just opposite to the school, about 2-3 kilometers from the main campus. The main campus itself does not have a fence. So that is to say there is no any physical security measures. The guards they have there, they are scraggy, untrained, very few in number. So already in an area that is already security challenged, like Gusau or like Zamfara, you put a school that where the students are is different from where the school is. Even working from the hostel to the main campus, it poses some challenge. It makes it easier. They are living among the general Sabongida community. So you see already the ingredients of insecurity have already been embedded by not factoring security in the design and the setting of the school. By all means, I'm not saying that Zamfara State should be deprived of the share of having a university. In fact, people that talk about security and education, they say even in war, education should continue. But there are certain things. Since the Daji Chibok attack, there have been international action and national action on how to improve schools. We started with the Safe School Initiative. Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister, was the first person who mobilized international support, not even national support, to come and start the Safe School after the Daji and the Chibok, which attracted a lot of international attention. We didn't go far with that SSI. It was abandoned. In about 2019, another initiative came all over the world called Safe Schools Declaration, which Nigeria will always do, signed onto the agreement. This issue was discussed even at a Federal Executive Council meeting. The former Minister of Education, Adamu, signed on behalf of Nigeria. By signing any agreement, you are given guidelines what you will follow. Till date, to be honest with you, we have not implemented even 20% of what the Safe School Declaration said, or the Safe School Initiative. What we have are just ceremonies. Police will do ceremony, civil defense will do ceremony, but in actual, we are having schools. I mean, what the Safe School says in short is not only armed security. Fortunately, I was among the experts that was involved in designing guidelines for schools, because it is understood all over the world when there is conflict, education facilities and students, they become extra victims of such conflicts. So this initiative is an international one. In 2021, I was among the experts that were, contacted by a group that is called Education in Emergency Working Group. It's a group of UN agencies, international NGOs, working with state governments, federal governments, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior, police. All these people were there, and we designed a document which gave guidelines following international global best practices of how we can prevent or at least reduce the incidence of attack on schools and kidnapping of students. We have done less than 20%, even though in launches, in ceremonies, even I think last 2-3 weeks, the police did a very big launch of the Safe School Initiative. They said they have a special squad for protecting schools. But to my shock and horror, you have a school in a place like Zamfara, which is already security challenged. In that Sabongida where the students are, my investigation found that you don't even have a police post there. Okay, you have a checkpoint across the road, but that is not enough. You don't even have a police police post in that Sabongida community. So given the fact that students are extra, vulnerable, because when we emphasize about school safety, it's not to say that the other people that don't go to school, the farmers, the herders, all the rest, they also need security. But students are extra vulnerable to attacks, especially when you look at the northeast, why we say Boko Haram. Like everybody may know or may not know, Boko Haram, it means education is a sin or is prohibited. So you see, even from the name of Boko Haram, their intention is to stop Boko, which is Western education. So even as a strategy for Boko Haram, it's not, of course it's different with the bandits, who are in it for different motives. It could be for money, it could be for ransom, it could be for they want exchange of prisoners, and so on. I will come to that. So the issue is that we are quick to sign on or start programs, but we don't follow up. Right now, the Safe School Initiative is, there is no coordination. Is it under Ministry of Education? Is it under Ministry of Defense? Is it under Ministry of Interior? Everybody is doing his own thing. That is why we end up having schools like Federal University of Gusau. School is not only the structures. The safety and security and the well-being of the students and the teachers is part of important of school. It's not just the structure and the signboard. Federal University Gusau or Federal University anywhere. So you have to think about these things right from the inception stage, like I said. You don't do a school and abandon it like no man's land without a perimeter fence. Of course, perimeter fence will not stop a determined attacker, but at least it will delay him. It will also give him the impression that somebody cares about this place because I even erected a fence. These are psychological uses of erecting fence, even if not. You don't have a school, you don't have guards. Some of us, who have studied, in other countries, there are places you don't even enter the hostel if you don't have a badge to badge you in. So that is to say, it's not everybody that can walk in. We have schools erected where anybody can just walk in. So we can see with specific reference to Gusau, which applies to many other schools, even the basic security measures are not there. What we are all interested in establishing.
I'm coming towards that, but because what you have just said and the revelations that Gusau had no school accommodation, no fence, is quite instructive. And because we have seen that many universities are set up as underdeveloped areas with the aim of developing those areas. But in all of this now, do you think as a government we have learned our lessons with previous attacks in schools, and how or where does this put the educational development of the child in those areas?
Very good question. Again, in my research, I tried to go back. You see, when an incident happens, like this kidnap, yes, it is a sad thing, but it's also an opportunity for learning. What happened, either by the school authorities in Gusau, either by the state government, here is an all stakeholders approach, whether the federal government or the security agencies. After the attack on 2nd of April, where 2 females were attacked, what was done after that? You'll find almost nothing. After the attack of 17 June, when 5 were abducted, what was done? If we are not lucky, after this attack, after the celebration, thanks to our security people of getting or somehow paying ransom or whatever, bringing them down, we will, if we are not lucky, that is again what will happen. Nothing will be done until the next attack. That is our way of doing things. Because when you talk about school safety, every stakeholder has a role, including the community where the school is. Even the students themselves, there is something they will do. In advanced countries, we see even children of kindergarten, they are taught when their own problem is one madman entering a campus like US and shooting. But what do you find they have in place? Even a 5-year-old pre-nursery kid is taught what to do when you hear a siren. Go and find, don't run, because you cannot run faster than a bullet. So a small girl in America knows that she will find a hard place, either behind a wall or behind a chair. They tell you anything solid that might stop a bullet to some extent. Hide yourself there. So students have a way to play. The community where these schools are, you have to involve them. The security agencies, the school management, the federal government, the state government, the SUBEB. During the elaboration of the SSD manual, all these people were there. National Association of School Proprietors, because we know they are public schools, they were represented, police, NSDC, SUBEBs. Of course, that initiative firstly was for Northeast. All these agencies in the Northeast, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Education, they were all there. So all these stakeholders, they have a role to play. And with respect to this is happening. Unfortunately, I was born in Zamfara. Not unfortunately, I was born in Zamfara, though I'm from Sokoto State. The Northwest as a whole, when you look at educational indices, they have the states that have almost, apart from Yobe, from the Northeast that enters, they are among the states in that area, they are among the 5 or 7 with the lowest literacy rates of less than 20%. Less than 20%. So when you're having these attacks happening in this place, already this is a place that has low enrollment, school enrollment figures, low literacy rates. And of course, I heard on the BBC House Service, somebody was telling his daughter, please leave this school. This school is not a must. We don't want that to happen. But again, no parent wants to send his son or his daughter to a school where there is high rate of her being kidnapped, a bandit taking her for a wife and turning her to a sex slave and all those kind of things. The case of FGGC Yawuri, of a father, who heard that his daughter that was abducted many years ago, she's now a mother. I mean, this is a terrible thing for any father to hear. So the issue is, this has issues. The government is talking about education. If you don't put school safety and security, I liked what I had the president said. He said it is not an offense to go and look for education, and people should not be killed or abducted just because they went to school. If I reel out the figures, since Boko Haram, since banditry, of the number of schools that have been destroyed, the number of teachers that have been killed, the number of students that have been displaced, and even the lower school enrollment figures, they are figures that will make anybody, you know, to shake his head in remorse. So we have to do more. We have to move from talking. We have to move from ceremonies, launching this, launching that, and do the actual things. Basic things. There shouldn't be a school without. Has anybody abroad seen any school without fence? It's not possible. You can't be a school without fence. You can't enter a university hostel if you are not a student or security officer. You can't just enter.
Right. We're speaking with retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu on the kidnapped students in Federal University of Zamfara, and we're just basically talking about safe schools, ensuring we have safe schools, especially in the Northeast and even across the country. And retired Group Captain, you were talking about how it is that some of these measures necessary to ensure schools are safe are not something that are difficult, so to speak, to put in place. But then again, some would say that from the revelation you gave with regards to the situation of the Federal University, where they do not have hostels within the school, we have seen schools in the South, where there are hostels that were attacked. Students were attacked and abducted from within their hostels in the schools. Does that necessarily guarantee safety, so to speak? And if we are talking about Safe Schools initiative, if you could just break it down to what really it entails and what measures, perhaps low-hanging fruits, that state governments, the federal government can begin to look into to addressing this situation on our hands.
Thank you very much. Now, practically, when you are giving solutions, you should give solutions that are practical. When I say Gusau does not have hostel, I do not really mean that in all instances. That's the ideal. You should have a school with hostel, all an enclosed area in one district. It helps mutual security for the staff quarters, the student quarters, the education quarters, because even being together as to the security. But I know for reasons of space, for reasons of economy, for reasons of number of students, sometimes you may not have all these things in one place. Now, there's what we call duty of care. A school, whether it is a federal school, whether it's a private school, when it invites students to come from their parents' house to come and study in the school, they have duty of care to look after their safety and security. Now, even if you don't have hostels that are government-owned, there are many schools that have students go to rent. But the duty of care extends. Within that community, you ensure that where the students are going to be hiring houses, there is some element of security. You may require, because of course it is, when you set a school, it's even an economic activity for the people there. People that have houses will rent their houses to students. But you have a duty of care to ensure that it is not any kind of house that your students move in. You might have your security officer to go and check and give the property owners there. You give them some standards. If you have a house, it must have a gate, it must be rounded, you know, all those kind of things. You give them some minimal standards which before you will approve for your students to enter that school. This is what obtains in other places. So you could do that. Now, on issue of, you said low-hanging fruits, definitely when we talk about the good thing about this safe school declaration and the guidelines that were produced, yes, there are some that need a lot of economic investment or technical investment, but at the same time that there are low-hanging fruits. I will give an example. Cutting straight from that manual, which we produced, out of the, issues that you can, you know, there are several measures you could take to improve school and involving all stakeholders. The first one, and the most recommended, is non-armed physical security measures. Non-armed physical security measures, having, on armed guards first. I will emphasize on armed guards. When you're talking about educational psychologists, depending on the school, whether it is a school for children, they will tell you that as much as possible, you should even reduce for the students, because they're impressionable at that age to be seeing people carrying guns, because it will have a this on their. Of course, at a higher stage, you may not think of that. So, non-armed physical security, fences, ditches, sandbars. I go back to the Northeast. When there was a time when University of Maiduguri was receiving constant attack from Boko Haram. What they did after many trials and errors is to dig a ditch round, I think with the support of the Borno State government, Governor Zulu. They dug a ditch around the school, and that prevented. So you see, this one is not a high-cost endeavor, but at least if you cannot have a fence, have a ditch, or have unarmed guards that can give warning. Have clear frontages. Don't leave. There's this school in Niger where it was this. One thing I noticed with that school, the school was looking overgrown with weeds. Even the weeds in themselves, they pose a security because it can give cover to any lawbreaker to enter the school unseen. So, non-armed physical security measures. Then next one is armed physical security measures, where you have either armed guards, whether you have police, whether you have army. But that is in extreme case. Like in Zamfara, it could be an extreme case. You could have some armed police or constantly stationed there because of the security threat, but that is not the ideal. The ideal is not to put armed men on schools, if possible, but depending on the, distance. So then there is the early warning. Early warning, in my understanding, is one of the simplest, lowest hanging fruits that a community, a school management system can put. When we say early warning, it is not something complicated with regard to school safety. All you need to do is to have what we call a warding system. That Sabangida, where students are. Let's assume the area there's northwest and south. Pick one student leader in the north side of the country, and the north side of the hostel. Let him select like 5 people in different hostels. He is in charge of them. If there is any security, they will hear from that warden. You call them security wardens. They are to alert, they are to go around. This is just their work. Another way you can do early warning system, simply a communication tree. How do I explain a communication tree? There is this business that, with due respect, most ladies do, of selling supplements. They will say, if you sell, you also invite 5 people, the next person invite 5 people, and so it cascades, and you get more money. That is how a security communication tree works. You get 5 people, each of these 5 people is controlling 8 people through a simple SMS or WhatsApp. If there is any alarm, he sends a message and it cascades. This one has 5 people under him. The 5 people, each of them has 5 people under him. Those one under him, they have 5 people until you cover the whole scenario. That is a communication tree. At the worst, if you are talking of villages, there is this gong you can put at the, in the public meeting place with the instruction of the people. If anybody, the first person to notice bandits entering in that community or anything, go and hit that. I mean, somebody will have the courage, even while people are running, to go and sound the gong. The gong should be told maybe with different kind of tappings, maybe pop, 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 says different thing, pop, 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 said bandits, pop, 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 said fire, those kind of things. So that everybody is trained. That is the simplest. Hang a gong on a tree and let people, because look, early warning may not stop the attack, but it puts people prepared. It makes it even difficult for the least one can do, early warning. I lock my wife up because I know children are vulnerable. I can't children. Then I fend for myself. Even that has reduced this. So this is early warning. I've talked about non-armed physical security, armed physical security, early warning, and security plans. Security plans. The guidelines provide that each school should have security plans. How many of us, parents, with all the money we pay, go and ask headmaster or proprietor, please, in case there is a bandit attacking this place, or there is even fire, even safety measures, what is the arrangement that your school has? We don't care about that.
Okay. Retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu.
Yes.
We have to let this conversation go right now. We have run out of time. There's so much to unpack out of all that you have said. We must thank you for being a part of the show. Security and counter-terrorism expert, school safety expert, retired Group Captain Sadeeq Shehu. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much.